is our annual meeting. Am I now the screensaver? Oh, okay. Just wondering. As I said at the board meeting, we must be doing something right because we still remain a viable organization, and it's with thanks to people like you that continue to be members. So thank you for what you all do and what you contribute to this organization.
One day a guy knocked on Warren Patrick's door and said, "I got an old wooden camera, would you like it?" And Warren took it. Well, not being a Kodak, he didn't keep it with his collection. So I think it was Sotheby's, but I'm not sure. One of the big New York auction houses was having an auction, and they were going to try some cameras in there. So Warren put that camera in there. It happened to be a half-plate daguerreotype camera, partially burnt on one side. Marvin Krieshman bought it for around $2,000. I think that was the price. And everybody went, oh, spending money like that on a camera back in those days. But evidently, all the photography in that auction for that period reached astronomical sums. And they figured that was the starting of camera collecting or image collecting that we're connected to today.
Anniversary thing in Boston. We were going to award Cliff an honorary life membership. My job was to talk him into coming, so I called him up, I knew him a little bit, and I finally get around to the point of the call, and Cliff's reaction was, "You're awarding an honorary life membership to a 98-year-old man. You cheap bastard."
So we're almost sold out for the next show, half sold out for the next show. Literally like 5 months before the show. The next show is in April. There are flyers on the back table. If you want a table, come talk to me because they're going quickly. So it's great news.
Ready for publication yet, but I'm planning to have it out by maybe the end of March and mailed out beginning of April. So, and there's still time. If somebody wants to write an article, let me know today, because I can still help you with the article and we can still get it in.
Our January meeting, the first Sunday in January, we are going to be moving to the AmeriCal Center, where and you all know the AmeriCal Center is where the photographic show is. And the reason for that is, quite frankly, financial. The price here is upwards of $540 to hold a meeting, basically $95 an hour. The price of the AmeriCal Center is $45 an hour. That's the reason we're doing it.
All right, and with that being said and done, we're going to start our business part of the meeting for the election procedure. The nominating committee this year was Bud Midgley and Al Holney and Paul Nisela. Bud was the chair and submitted the nominees for our annual elections. You all received a ballot, I hope, in the mail. If you did not mail it in, you can vote here from the floor. The ayes have it, the motion is carried. I'd like to recognize the Secretary of the organization, Alan Goodrich.
Madam Secretary, in accordance with the motion just passed, I cast one ballot for the officers.
Not Madam Secretary. Mr. Secretary, your vote is accepted. The election has now been completed. Thank you. Welcome new board members and old board members. Thank you very much. Any other new business or anything before we have the... Yeah.
Could you list the board members?
Sure. I'm sorry. The president, great, John. John Wojtowicz, Vice President Lou Riegelman, Secretary Alan Goodrich, Treasurer Adrienne Levesque, Immediate Past President Marty Jones, members of the board, Cindy Berry, George Champagne, John Dockery, Walt Freisendorf, Bud Midgley, Ron Polito, Ruth Tomazian, Joe Walters, and Henry Weisenberger. And that was submitted by the nominations committee. All right? So thank you. I've enjoyed my tenure. Now I'm going to sit in the crowd.
Thank you, Mark. We'll start on the left. And anybody in this section over here have something to show and tell? Nobody?
Jack Billington. And my wife thinks I'm pretty persistent the way I get onto something like this, and I keep looking and looking and looking. Originally, there was a nice story about how we got this camera and another one, come from New Bedford. come out of the studio of Mara Smith down in New Bedford. The second story was a nice story about an old timer who was young enough to take and unscrew the lens off of this to make a magnifying glass when him and his brother were kids. His father had this in the warehouse down there. So it remained there for a long time. Both them stories are related to you before.
This here on this side is ice icon. On the other side is the word diaphobe. So a little leather case lined with felt opens up into a little, Jack, this is not a daguerreotype. A little device here, and included in the device is the instruction manual, all of it. So what I have is an extinction light meter by Zeiss, and this is the way I received it. Eventually it'll have a proper cord on it. But the big thing about it is that it is a piece of equipment that is nothing less than a rheostat, and it has two large coils in it here. Then what does it do? It is for illumination control for one photo flood lamp. And that probably is a 250 volt job, not a 500 volt job, when you look at the wattage in it. 250 watts, 120 volts, and you can click it around from 7 positions, and you have an on-off switch, and at the end here you have the other that goes to your lamp. But to me, the most interesting thing about it is that when you look at it, E-Lights Incorporated, New York. I've never seen one. I didn't know it was made, but more of the aura that goes with Leica photography, Leica photographic people, and so forth. So here is a rheostat for adjusting a photo flood light for whatever purpose in lighting that you're using it. Now, if you had a multiple lights,
This is our 23rd photograph calendar from Project Save Armenian Photograph Archives, which you know I run. And we're doing theme calendars, and the theme this year is any photograph that had a rug in it was considered. Oriental carpets, rugs. And then, of course, what's a rug? What's the difference between a rug and a carpet? Well, just for your information, a rug is small, it's movable. I mean, maybe up to 4 by 5, 4 by 8.
It's a small
So-
earpiece.
That doesn't include toupees, yeah.
No hair involved. And then a carpet is something that's less movable, so larger.
I bought another digital camera that's ancient. I love them. This one's 10 years old. It's sold for $1,000, manufacturer's suggested retail price. It probably sold for $750. I paid a lot less for it. Nobody wants these. I find it extremely well made. It's a Nikon Coolpix 990. The zoom doesn't, it's not fragile like the modern zooms that come out and you hit it against the table and that's it. It's all over.
Not like the 880.
I'd like to present our speaker, Lauren Hughes, and she's from the American Antiquarian Association in Worcester, Vermont, and you should have all heard of this place.
Massachusetts, Worcester, Massachusetts.
But-
Not Vermont.
Ooh,
I used to live in
said that.
Vermont. I used to live in Vermont.
Yeah, Worcester, Massachusetts. Never Worcester, Vermont. Yeah,
No, I don't think there's-
Worcester, Massachusetts. If you haven't heard of this place, basically what you need to know is this is where Ken Burns goes to get his images.
Thank you for having me come and talk to this organization. I've known about you for a while through Gigi Barnhill, who is a member, who was my former boss at the Antiquarian Society. And it's great that you all know more about equipment than I do, because I'll have lots of questions as I go through this. This talk that I'm going to give to you was actually given to a bunch of scholars at Princeton who were studying childhood, the idea of childhood. They knew nothing about photography. So some of this may seem a little basic to you, but other parts of it I hope you'll find interesting as we go along. In the 1920s, who went around documenting colonial architecture, and she would take shots. She would actually go up and knock on people's doors and say, "Can I come in and take a picture of your hearth?" You know, they thought she was a kook, but she ended up taking great interior and exterior photographs of houses that are no longer. On behalf of PHSNE, we'd like to thank you for Thank you very being much. today. It was a delight. Thank you.
Either that, or we need to call them and get a better address.
I'm gonna get some other kind of address. It was very funny. I'm looking at that.
I'm sure with the zip code.